Hello, everyone. Our topic for today is anthropological perspective in understanding the self. Anthropology comes from the Greek words anthropos, meaning human, and logos, meaning study. Thus, anthropology is the study of human differences, human societies and cultures, and their development. It is concerned with how cultural and biological processes interact to shape human experience. In anthropology, the self came to be understood as a process that orchestrates an individual's personal experience, following which he or she becomes self aware and self reflective about his or her place in society. Anthropology was born after the age of discovery had opened up societies that had remained outside the technological civilization of the modern West. In fact, the field of research was at first restricted to those societies that had been given one unsatisfactory label after another: savage, primitive, tribal, traditional, or even preliterate, prehistorical, and so on. What such societies had in common above all was being the most different or the most foreign to the anthropologist. And in the early phases of anthropology, the anthropologists were always European or North American. The distance between the researcher and the object of his study has been a characteristic of anthropological research. It has been said of the anthropologist that he was the astronomer of the sciences of man. Anthropologists today study more than just primitive societies. Their research extends not only to village communities within modern societies, but also to cities, even to industrial enterprises. Subdisciplines of anthropology. Cultural anthropology, also known as sociocultural anthropology, explores the diversity of past and present. It is set out to analyze the totality of human culture in time and space. It is focused on the study of cultural variation among humans. Cultural variation refers to the rich diversity in social practices that different cultures exhibit around the world. Cuisine and art all change from one culture to the next, but so do gender roles, economic systems, and social hierarchy among any number of other humanly organized behaviors. Cuisine, for instance, Ilocanos are well known for their pinakbet and bagnet, while Bicolanos are known for their laing. Igorots are known for their itag. For gender roles, in Arab culture, men hold the most authority and are responsible for the primary income, security, and safety of the family. They are expected to work outside the home, earn money, and to provide for their family. Women have traditionally taken responsibility for the domestic space as the nurturers and bedrocks of the family. In the Philippines, men and women earn money and provide for their family. Ethnography, based on the field work, it involves immersing yourself in a particular community or organization to observe their behavior and interactions up close. Ethnology is based on cross-cultural comparison. For example, a cross-cultural study of ritual in Indonesia and Brazil, or cross-generations, for example, a comparison of Generation X and Generation Y. Next is archaeological anthropology. It interprets the past humans and cultures through material remains. It involves the excavation, analysis, and interpretation of artifacts, soils, and cultural processes. It examines the physical remains such as graves, tools, and pottery, examining mummies in tombs, and so on. The third one is biological anthropology or physical anthropology. It is a scientific study concerned with the biological and behavioral aspects of human beings and other non-human primates. It is the study of human biological variation and evolution. Biological anthropologists seek to document and explain the patterning of biological variation among contemporary human populations, trace the evolution of our lineage through time in the fossil record, and provide a comparative perspective on human uniqueness by placing our species in one context of other living primates. Biological anthropologists are interested in human evolution from our origins and diversity in the past to our probable future as inhabitants of this planet. Last is linguistic anthropology. Language in its social and cultural context across time and space. It is a branch of anthropology that studies the role of language in the social lives of individuals and communities. It explores how language shapes communication. Thus, language plays a huge role in social identity, group membership, and establishing cultural beliefs and ideologies. Language is viewed as interdependent with culture and social structures. Linguistic anthropology closely studies those societies where language defines a culture of society. For example, the Isinais, Bugkalots, Ilocanos, and many more. They all speak different languages, which makes them unique. Linguistic anthropologists may also take an interest in language as it relates to socialization. It can be applied to infancy, childhood, or a foreigner being enculturated. Example, a Filipina married to a Japanese or Korean. The person learns the culture and assimilates its practices and values. In terms of language effect on the world, the rate of spread of a language and its influence on a society or multiple societies is an important indicator that anthropologists will study. For example, the use of English as an international language can have wide-ranging implications for the world's societies. These can be compared to the effects of colonization or imperialism and the import of language to various countries, islands, and continents all over the world. Self. This is a physical organism possessing psychological functioning and social attributes. There are two anthropological perspectives of the self. The first one is egocentric, a concept of the self where the self is seen as an autonomous and distinct individual. It is separate, independent, unitary, self-contained, consistent, and private. The second one is sociocentric. According to this view, there is no intrinsic self that can possess enduring qualities. The self is not static. It is added and subtracted from by genetic maturation, learning, forgetting, stress, aging, and disease. Two aspects of self. Explicit is the aspect of the self that you are consciously aware. These are deliberately formed and are easy to self-report. On the other hand, implicit is not immediately available to the consciousness. These are involuntarily formed and are typically unknown to us. It is possible and quite common for an explicit attitude or an implicit attitude to contradict each other. Prejudice is a frequently used example. Imagine Gray, a middle-class Manileño who genuinely believes that all races are equal and despises any kind of racial bias. This is Gray's explicit attitude. He is aware of his strong opinion and can easily share this with others, yet he is unaware that any time he is around Badjaos, he acts rather nervous. If Gray grew up in a place with strong negative stereotypes about Badjao people, it's possible that some of these negative ideas influence him without his knowledge. He may subconsciously believe that Badjaos are dangerous. This is Gray's contradicting implicit attitude. It was involuntarily created, and he is not aware of it. Culture. It is a customary behavior and beliefs that are passed on through enculturation. Culture is the set of unwritten norms of conduct that guide the behavior of a group. According to Edward Taylor, culture is a complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, morals, law, customs, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man. So these are the characteristics of culture. Number 1. Humans are born with the capacity to learn the culture of any social group. We learn culture both directly and indirectly. Second, culture changes in response to both internal and external factors. Number 3, humans are not bound by culture. They have the capacity to conform to it or not, and sometimes change it. Number 4, culture is symbolic. Individuals create and share the meanings of symbols within their group or society. And number 5, the degree to which humans rely on culture distinguishes us from other animals and shapes our evolution. And the last one, human culture and biology are interrelated. Our biology, growth, and development are impacted by culture. Self in culture. It is shared, symbolic, natural, learned, integrated, encompassing, adaptive, and maladaptive. Self-concept refers to all understanding and knowledge of oneself. The components of self-concepts include psychological, physical, and social attitudes, ideas, and beliefs that one has. The most influence in terms of self-concept is family's history, basically referring to the culture one has been brought up in and the experiences he or she has undergone. Various studies have been carried out concerning the impact culture may have towards self-concept. One such study was carried out by Erdmann, using American and Chinese students, requesting them to recall memories and events of their early years of childhood. In his study, Erdmann found out that early childhood memories were a big part of self-concept. The findings demonstrated that different cultural memories are brought about by early childhood years and persist into adulthood. The differences are formed both in the extended cultural contexts, which defines the meaning of the self, and the immediate family environment. In conclusion, culture has such a greater influence on an individual's life, contributing majorly to the self-concept of an individual. The influence might either be negative or positive, depending on the type of culture that one has been brought up in. It is important that individuals study and appreciate their culture and its contribution in shaping their individual personalities. Aspects of human culture. Number 1 is material culture. Sociologists describe two interrelated aspects of human culture: the physical objects of the culture and the ideas associated with these objects. Material culture refers to the physical objects, resources, and spaces that people use to define their culture. These include homes, neighborhoods, cities, schools, churches, synagogues, temples, offices, factories and plants, tools, means of production, goods and products, stores, and so forth. All of these physical aspects of a culture help to define its members' behaviors and perceptions. For example, technology is a vital aspect of material culture in today's Filipino society. Students in highly urbanized cities must learn to use computers to survive in college and business, in contrast to young adults in the ethnic societies who must learn to build weapons and hunt. Non-material culture refers to the non-physical ideas that people have about their culture, including beliefs, values, rules, norms, morals, language, organizations, and institutions. For instance, the non-material cultural concept of our religion consists of a set of ideas and beliefs about God, worship, morals, and ethics. These beliefs then determine how the culture responds to its religious topics, issues, and events. When considering non-material culture, sociologists refer to several processes that a culture uses to shape its members' thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Four of the most important of these are symbols, language, values, and norms. And that's all for today. I hope you learned something.